So welcome everyone. Today we are studying concentration according to this text of His Holiness Dalai Lama, which is called Opening the Eye of New Awareness. And we're going to start today with a simple meditation. Does everyone know the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum? The mantra from Avalokiteshvara. Yes, it's the mantra of the Buddha of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum. But first, we're going to start by finding a comfortable position for our bodies. Yes, sitting cross-legged, with the back straight, the way we learned in the previous class how to do the posture. And first, you close your eyes and just examine the state of your mind at this moment. And the best you can, you try to make your mind more relaxed and expansive. Try to make your mind more spacious. And within this spaciousness of the mind, we're going to start to recite out loud the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum.
Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani.
Now we can stop and he's going to continue reciting. We just listen to his voice and let this sound enter the spaciousness of our minds.
Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum.
We keep reciting the mantra in our minds. And when you feel comfortable, you're going to stop breathing for a few seconds while still reciting the mantra. You can breathe out. You don't need to strain too much. And then once you breathe out, you breathe in, you stop the breath again and keep reciting.
Tandati gom jawatila mi dani ji sabdela nila dani ji sabdela.
So the name of this meditation is concentration on sound.
Tati kargo elama tombonga so ngelo Om Mani Padme Hum ngani kakate so tila ngapi.
So first we start this using our mouth, so using the sound produced by our mouth.
니 다데 소소 그때 다데 칸이 만드는 지 다니면서 기자 아니 위스 가데들 이디라 이디 얘가 생각나가 제대로 이디 칸이 다 오만이 베모다 다데 마트니 생각나가 된다 거다 오만이 베모 생각나는 된다 된덴바디오 지 니마 요나 소소 근데 왜냐 요나 쟁기다니 니바 농시지 어디서 도와다
And then after some time we stop reciting the sound with our mouths, and either we just listen from outside, from someone else, or we just keep repeating this in our minds, just listening the sound in our minds.
우가드는 지죠. 근데 이디들에서 근데 우리들이 이제 가되고 우가되야데 아니 소설다라 소설다.
So it's
다 소설다라나 고터 위치로 맞도는 누나 디와텔라 아니 이제 성시에그레스 소설다 소설을 누나 소설도 노토 동제도 노토 치로 맞추는 누나 가시아트.
And then we use this technique of stopping the breath, of basically keeping your breath inside and not letting it go outside. This has a name in Tibetan. There is a name for this technique, which is Sok Tsu Dam. Sok means the wind or this breath. Tu means the conceptual thinking, and Dam means to keep it inside, to control it. So basically, through this technique, you're both keeping the breath inside and this conceptual thinking, this proliferation of thoughts. So they're connected, and you control both with this technique.
Tati sonso dana gubakariyo na ngaso long kaljana long te seng tanoji ilor. Seng de cholondoala ji roba mena ji tanoji kyonin drona no to korolo kumbayo mara. De long de kolo roba ji cholondoja.
Why is this effective? Because the winds of the body, or we can call it breath as well, or the winds of the body, they're like the horse for the mind. The mind doesn't have feet to walk on its own. So the mind, we say that the mind always needs the wind as a support to go anywhere. So the mind mounts the horse of the wind.
다 롱치로 만들어 다우잖아. 이 센터 들어마라. 로마토나 센터 들어마라.
So if we control the wind from going outside, we also control the mind from going outside.
So long 만들어나 기도 냥도 그 시바든 들어나. 이 시바는 저로 만들니 농도 다우자 이제 소스다 바다.
So because of this, when we try to keep the winds inside, we also it's also effective for us to keep the mind inside through this technique.
다때가 나서 단다 드리죠 드링크 젠다가 동거나 저도 차지 또 참시신이라
드링 무슨 공기 넘샤
드리 젠다는 니네마다 방아서 거기 되어라 되게 드링크 거나 저도 돼 소스다니 아니 이티도 마티지야 드리스 드링크 섭.
Yeah, so this usually in every class we have a meditation session. So this is the one from today that I wanted to introduce this technique of controlling both the wind and the mind, and the connection of keeping the wind inside. Also, it also means keeping the mind inside, or the thoughts inside. So now let's go maybe to the main text that we're studying.
What is the purpose of the sound and the mantra in this connection?
that nyembi tsaki lawyer da goto ko mara ina nyindenge chiyo mara ina tombo nga so ngadi chen nga gandera so so gdira so so nga la yobi date so so gda nyembi tsaki gongore lawyer nyembi tsaki nyembi yomara da yomara tombo ngadi che yidi che da yomara ina nya no je da sono to wana da chi nya no je chi sono nyembi tsaki ni yidi nyembi tsaki nya yomara da yomara Ukakna, the Dangimara Bakarichin, the Diamuris. Dani, Kani Diamu Mare. Single no Triare Lanza. Single no Triaginato, Diomare. The Nivupa Matoa dina Senolia Panidera.
Senoli to Trigris.
Mubata Tajika Mazo Omani Montero. That's also Macarena, tell us on Mupatiri. Tell us all to the deal, not so Pamukatan or my pastor, and choking yen. What did he, with Mamma Tony, it's a cow, you make a Toyota, some of Caroline, Yedi.
So this is one type of object for concentration that we can have, which is using sound. So first starting with the sound in the mouth, reciting the mantra, or it can be other sounds as well. And then just listening in your mind. And when you're doing this technique of stopping the breath or working with the breath or with the winds, the object of your meditation is the sound, this recitation of the mantra. So that's the function of being the object of your meditation.
Okay. Very good. Good, very good. Very good.
Very good.
Very good. That's the answer there. No, because unique no ne, ani ta ando soji ni sen gendo sare, sen joba, gender joba, lady joba, new joba, to joba, number joba, teaching the joba, number joba, doing the sare. That get the top chicken theory, top trickle, 2 bit, some bit, 10 bit, shiro, shiji, suri, using the bit, the top chicken all that is any get to shores.
So the last class we went through the 9 stages of setting the mind. So just reviewing them. So the first one is setting the mind, continuous setting, patch-like setting, close setting, disciplining, pacifying, thorough pacifying, making single-pointed, and setting in equipoise. Of course, you don't need to memorize all of this. I'm just translating what he said. And today we're going to study the 6 powers that help us to achieve these 9 stages. The 6 powers are the power of hearing, thinking, mindfulness, introspection, effort, and complete familiarity. These are the 6 powers that we're going to look at. Power. Top. Power. He understood a word that I said, power. He's happy. He understood the English word.
Nga zo tombo de la tubi tang lo do. Da tubi tang de no ka de sin jobas. Da tubi tang lo go yin se ka de tomo nga zo jini gong ge de yin se gong ge ji ne yin chi min chi ge ji lo te ni. Da gong le go to no ja de yin chi min chi shi go yu ra. De la tu ni nye ni tu ba la na nye ba ro. De la ge yin da la ma yin da ka ri na to go yin na se sa yin de la ma nye ni. Ni ko ko shi ma no ji te ani mu ba la se jobat la.
So the first power is the power of hearing, and this power is related to the first stage. If you remember, the first stage is setting the mind, just setting the mind. And why is this? Why is here the power of hearing important? Because for us to engage in meditation practice, we need to hear this from somewhere. We need to hear how to meditate, and this can come either from a teacher or from a friend or from a family member, it doesn't matter, but you need to hear from someone how to set your mind, and then only then you really start the practice. You really start setting your mind.
That is that's a non to John, Cholomupana Pakan, Nolan Zewote, and it equalata, not on Damda, Momo Shipanda, the Jim is not on Damda.
And when we engage in this practice of not letting our mind go outside and keeping our mind inside, we are going to have the experience that many thoughts are coming up, a proliferation of thoughts are happening in our minds.
Jadi ta senanda mada shal deati ani ngani ki de yoriti na yo ta ngar me bisa de jiwa ji mare ngani ki de yoriti ina ngela ngaso moshi wa mares ani ta mupa cholo pa ka no te solo to ti ku moshi ores ina te ka jini ga male kyu ji mares nga ka yo mares.
And we might have the experience that as soon as we close our eyes and try to meditate, then we increase our thoughts, or we're making more and more thoughts come to our minds. But that's not the case. The case is that before we had all these thoughts, our minds were already full of this proliferation of thoughts all the time. But now when you stop, when your mind is not going outside, you bring your mind inside, then you can finally start noticing all of these thoughts in your mind. And then we might think that yes, I'm doing things in a wrong way, and actually this meditation is not so good because I meditate and my mind gets more agitated. I have more thoughts. So maybe it's not good after all. So this is a mistaken way of thinking. Actually, we should see that if we see that we're having more and more thoughts, more proliferation of thoughts, the mind is more agitated, we should see this as a good result of your practice. Because now you're noticing all of these thoughts. So this is actually a good way. You're doing the right thing.
다시니 간에 지 살은 노토남나 춘이 지지메나 아니 단다지니 아부 마고 따라 셀은 노토남나 춘이 지지메나 아니 지니 마고도 지바레스 지니 가오게 아니 담다 요바 모세오라 어디 지니 가 단세레스
If you close your eyes and you cannot notice a single thought, you cannot see the agitation in your mind, that's the bad sign. Then you're probably not meditating. But if you are noticing all the agitation, then you're doing something right.
드니 다 투비 덤도서 다니바 섬비통세야 드레스 섬비통세야 가서 센조바도 겐다 조바세야 들레오레 섬비통세 다타기 돈볼 라마라 투서와 투바티니 소소 성노 동고요레스.
And then the second one is called the power of thinking, and this is associated with the second stage. So after setting the mind, we have this continuous setting. And basically the meaning here is on top of what you heard, now you start thinking about it. So this is the power of thinking. The second power of thinking.
다 텔라니 가서 팅이제 그거노니 겐다 조바세 다타기 무팔라 동보 무팔라 센테스 반조서레스 단 조바디 동보지나 가서 거자지 좀 자토마 이니 그 제레레 돈이 거자니 아니 거자 삼 칼리 레 파카세 레 동보 동토아티 다들라 겐다 조바라레 삼비탄 그래 상로문 보직 동고이지지 삼비탄라레스.
And then the power of thinking here, it's coming at the second stage, so the continuous setting. In the first one, we're only setting the mind. The mind was outside, we only set it inside in our object of choice, and this is like 1 second. You stay 1 second and then you get distracted. But here you start to go for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and then for you to be able to get to 5 seconds to keep your mind in the object, you need to keep your thought, you need to keep your thinking at the object. So you need to think many times, so to speak, many times about this object. So this is why here it's called the power of thinking, because you need to keep thinking about the object.
드니다 디코슬로 단나가서 센터니 섬비토 제미토도 섬비토 디코슬로 단가서 검 징게 테마 동보들에들한 공고도 차디 아니 디가서 조아당 고바시야 기타 제닐을 케칭게 요나메 바데 조아도 고바니 드니 몽지 레데레스 디가서 몽보여레스
몽보여레스 di Nipala.
투바도 섬비토니 코스 디니 코스
the Nikos. And then when we're using these two powers, right? So in the first two stages, setting the mind and trying to make the mind a little bit longer. So when during these two powers, then we're gonna start to see our laxity and excitement getting stronger, right? These two obstacles for concentration: laxity, dullness, and excitement, agitation. We start to feel this getting stronger and stronger.
디가서 단가서 가르치게는 셈페 조조치니 베스트 몽보죠 그래서 시침보스 다디가서 연지미지 신경 받고요래 식죠 대적고 이제 이제 동보 주딘지 바세야 되는가 세 동보니 지고슬로 아니 주딘지 바세야 되대 디가서 중고도 중화도 고바 시침벌레디 군일 카테 잡고셔라 다시 시침벌레디 콜 카테 시침벌 잡아라 소소기 베츠 동보니 비카스
and then during this moment when we start feeling the first hits of laxity and excitement, when we're trying to set our minds there and keep it a little bit longer, then there's also 4 mental engagements. So the first one, it's called the forcible engagement, which means with strength. So you need to put effort. So at this moment, it's important for us to be careful. So we need to basically make effort. We need to be careful and hold our minds so our minds don't go to one side, either to laxity or to excitement too much. So this is a time that we need to make effort.
갑자기라 중화도 고바 시치비진세지 소소가 타기 감자가 열무바가리는 뜻 라드 젠드. 용조 솔로마토나 무바젠드. 다 가르고요나 소소슬레브레스.
Yeah, so at this time also because of the power of the the laxity and excitement that are coming stronger and stronger, then we're gonna forget the object of our meditation. Unless we can keep thinking and thinking and thinking about our object of meditation, we forget, and then again we have to think, oh, what was I meditating about? And then we have to start again.
Titi gender di tanga so ta ni seni samba ani letin joba temba ani tembi tangse de yonjo go yi se teres tembi tangse di temba ase ke terela karate go yela na pasho ko mupa de yonyo de tete
Ani tiang kri gunone sumpala lepkire.
ganon samba tala ganon samba tere tinone samba tere tembi tibar.
And then because we start to forget the object of meditation because laxity and excitement is getting stronger, then we get to the third power. The third power is mindfulness, the power of mindfulness. Mindfulness here, and also in Tibetan, it has the same word as remembering. So it's basically remembering. So why are you remembering? Because you forgot. So as you forgot your object of meditation, then you apply this third power of mindfulness so you can remember again your object of meditation and you can keep with your practice. Also at this stage, then we arrive at the third stage of Koma abiding. So when we use the third power, which is the power of mindfulness, we also arrive at the third stage, which is called the patch-like setting. Patch, P-A-T-C-H, patch-like setting.
Ani ta tembi tangse ya de shikjin la tembi tangse ya de shikjin la na mupa majin yong de teni ta temo de la sen dang jang so sen de la kasa ka la shön de se ja chimbo de churi ton se ja chimbo de churi ton mupa chi lo pa munge mupa jeba kanga la yo ka ni chi lo mupa te o jitere ta ani nga so de se gba no ni nyon jo pa se ya de do ani nyon jo pa ta sen je no tig no ni
And then, as we keep applying our mindfulness, so what is the mindfulness doing here? So the mindfulness, as soon as we forget our object, it immediately brings it back to our object. So the more we get used to it, it gets to a point that we are not forgetting as much. And if we forget, immediately we can bring our mind back to the object. And then slowly, through using this effort and mindfulness, so constantly remembering the object, then we get to the fourth one, which is close setting. And then at this moment, we start to apply more the power of introspection, which is the fourth one. The fourth one is power of introspection. We start to apply at the fourth stage, which is close setting, when we are not forgetting so much anymore.
temba do shije zeyate jini ga verela ta khoni ge jini ga tingi zela ropa chingi yakshete temba do shije ni tingi to jini ga ko ni parta gongi ji ta jini ga ko ka ga ta chingwa to go ban ji do go te temba do shije ni.
These are the two best friends of our meditation, of our concentration, the mindfulness and introspection. Okay, these are the main ones. These are the main friends that we have. And what are the main bad friends, the main enemies that we have? This is dullness, or laxity, and excitement. These two are the worst friends that we have.
Da nga so de ma temba to shije ni singa bodyguard. Singa bodyguard.
Temba to shije ni.
Niga gorela. Niga ropa mena ko to mares. Iga temba to shije ni singa bodyguard. Nga ta de da yung no marda.
We say that mindfulness and introspection actually is not in the treatises, in the text, but I say that we usually say that mindfulness and introspection are like our bodyguards. When we go there, we need these two bodyguards next to us.
Da ani jiwato gobani poto bodyguard ka ge ani dre. Ka jani da bodyguard na sonja da sere. Sela nyota jenge da jiwato gobani. Jiwato gobani khate change da temba da shishika khate chakre. Moni se yashe da send ni kushura.
And then the one to be protected here, the VIP person here, it's our mind. So this is our mind is going with the two bodyguards, which is mindfulness and introspection. And who is trying to harm us? So who is trying to harm us? To harm the mind? Who is trying to harm the mind is laxity and excitement. And who is going to fight these criminals? It's our bodyguards, mindfulness and introspection.
다니 저도 중앙에다 아니 가서 뜸이 결혼지래. 고바제야든 도착해라시래.
Usually we say that laxity, or we can also say the dullness of the mind, is from the nature of ignorance. And we say that excitement is from the nature of attachment.
다 디고서 드니 가서 다셈 또지나 템비 동도서서 시시기 떠올려서 다 시시기 떠고 쉽게니 시시기 가르치 버체 거래지나 껍데기는 가서는 세마만다 세마만다 몸보고 시오니 그래서 셔와데 시시기 시버체니 아니 바까거래 템비 무발라 제마지니 시시기 세마만다 와 하고 버체니 그래서 백까 되니 생따다 지니 더대로 세마만다 몸보실래데 세마미자
And when we are ngacema jukarina ni situ shina tuira tsema jukarina and we start using the introspection. So what is the introspection doing? So the mindfulness is keeping us from forgetting the object. So if it forgets, you bring it back, you remember again what you're doing. The introspection is like a spy. The introspection is checking exactly where our mind is going. And there is something that's called, I don't know how it was translated by Anila, but 10 signs, maybe I can say. There are 10 signs that our minds tend to go. And introspection is checking, is my mind going to one of these 10 signs or not? It's constantly checking. What are these 10 signs? We say form, sound, smell, tactile objects, things we can touch, sounds, did I say sounds? Yeah, taste. Also attachment, anger, ignorance, man and woman. These are the 10 signs. Yes?
그래서 다니 빙하마 시시가 떡은 아마도 떡가는 또 준비기 나오나가 다 준비죠 그래 준비 배서 준비 시전에 그거그랬어 준비는 나가는 데지어야 지나라 맞아 기위 잡았지 발라 배 가요게 기위 소지 잡았지 발라 강가 준비는 세페 가노 렌데고디 준비레스 이는 배두 맞아 디리져서야 또 준비 로가리 디리져서 맞아 펠로 리치는 배 칼리 셔페 전 제제보다 더 많이 배 가정 것이네
톱거리
톱들의 준비기 톱
and then when we are now here applying introspection, checking this, applying our mindfulness, keeping our mind in the object. And then at this point, we start using the fifth power, which is the power of effort. In English, here is translated as power of effort, but in Tibetan, there is no difference to the power of joyful effort, as we usually call. And Geshe is saying, what is effort here? Effort here is being very happy about doing something virtuous. So you're engaging in something virtuous like meditating or practicing generosity or whatever, and you're very happy about it. There's no you're not tired about doing it. There's no problem about it. There are two different kinds of effort. There is one effort sometimes that we need, which is you're studying and you don't want to do this, but you know you need to, and then you keep studying and it's hard, it's very hard, but you keep doing it. This is one kind of effort. But here we are talking about really enjoying it, really being happy about engaging in this practice.
다들에서 전리기타오 다 전리기타오 기니 단당아 송해라 아니 정화도 고바송 것이 아니 시제도 템바게 정화도 고바스 용안에 하고 대pe 카토 된리제디 되니 딩인젤 요테다 전리제가 가디 지르즈나 바조도 요테다 그러지 딩인젤 요테 뭐뭐다네 된리 딩인젤 쪼아티오리 딩인젤 뭐피 쪼아티오리 아니 리카체발라 리카가요 말레스
And okay, so here we have already identified laxity and excitement. We have already seen when is it coming, how is it coming, and through mindfulness and introspection we are eliminating laxity and excitement. And then for us to apply this power of effort, we need to find happiness about it. And how are we going to be happy about our practice? We need to think and know the benefits of having concentration. We need to know the good things, the positive benefits of engaging this practice of meditation.
이 것을 당해서 생이 그거는 더러제바도 저러제바서 성도 더러제바도 저러제바니 노요기 님의 시시기 아니 리니 띵인젤라 마가빈 고바 세니 트파 저르체파 존스도다 생각봐 아니들도 더러체파도 저르체파니 더러체파도 저르체파니 단다 준리기도 레코스로 니 디니키고 있어라
준비기 또 뒤인가 봐라.
준리기도 땅가 바래도 디 나바데 키오데 다 세니 그거노니까데 키오레로나 더러체파도 저르체파니 더러체파도 저르체파니 디키레스
준비 또 lö기래.
이거 준리기도 템발라테니 디니키고 쇼레스
아, 그래서
준리기도 제발라테니 디니스키고 쇼레마토 디니키발라테니 준리스키야마타 준리기도 제발라테니 디니페치
So, with this joyful effort that we found, so reflecting on the benefits and finding a lot of joy in doing this, with this power, then we can get to the fifth stage, the fifth and the sixth stage. The fifth one is called disciplining. The sixth one is called pacifying. So at this moment, we can start to achieve this with this power of effort. We can start to achieve this higher stages of concentration. Yeah.
다더니 전리기도 지라 더니 전리기도 지라 다더니 용선 집이 또 두바들에서 당가바기 있어. 다더니 생각바 제바 아니 다디 센트리바 벤도서. 다 덴바 제바 거바 제바 같더니 용선 집이 떠라더니 on고서 기오시. 전리기도 지서디 아니 칼리시라 맹게레스라. 칼리싱가 맹게레서 됐더니 다 제바서 기와라 리라바 차요스라. 다 주고에 나오 라바카샤레 참 주고 참 하데르다.
And then the sixth one is called the power of complete familiarity. So before we use all the other powers and using the power of effort, we got ourselves here to the fifth stage and the sixth stage until the pacifying stage. There are still 3 more stages to go. Going into these 3 more stages of concentration, we start using the power of complete familiarity. Power of complete familiarity. And at this moment, we're not using effort so much. It's going a little bit more automatic. We don't need to put in a lot of effort. We already love the practice, and it keeps flowing well. Yes.
이니 다 전리게 떡지도 나빠 전리게 떡지 차선도 좋아도 종문소 참모 기마다 돈도 말해봐 주비 봉르제바 세니 덴바 넘버 지브르제바 지자완 종스 세니 선반이 덴비 빠도 나보티 띵인zel라 니바 시치용 주구기 빠도 주비 아니 체중지비 이제기 거래스 다 이제라 체중지비 이제 다티니 이제라 아니 전리게 떡지서 이제글로 단다가 소디 니 떡주바들 가로 용선 제비 떠로도 이거서 그 띵인zel라 아니 주고 참모 마토 주고 라바이 본사레스 아니 무바이 마제니 쿠타타 미토요레스 디에테타 띵인zel니 덴바제바 그바서 지와라 아니 전리게 떡지바다 니 디야기 용레스 당가마도 전리니 띵인제 그바그바년제 띵인제세야 돼.
Yeah, so through the fifth power, so with this power of effort, we start to eliminate the subtle laxity, the subtle distraction, excitement. And then through the power of this complete familiarity, we keep progressing from the 7th stage, the 8th one, and 9th one.
그 비데샤잖아. 다다 비나 비자손 도바 셴데 감비치 동보 depuis que l'on journée ani ngosambana par cause c'est yongjon dobati mache par ani somete wata tombo semu pala tembi tembi lechi nyambara jana diji tenshi tom temugo par ronshi ki tingin zeti jamache pa yoron par chombab jongwi soa me panjipi yichi ki koi za somen soa me panjipi mesu chemogore zeti ta kondatere pena ngaso 지금 비잔다 얘기 잘 나면 동보 배서 칼리전이 누구다 동보도
Karicina.
비자절 놓으면 르르제 제고라 나갈 제고라 저기 동보 배서 되고다 바가스나 감감가 pensare 그 sono tomo che ne carina con dene pena ngaso mani do china sono tomo mani dene hoteni dosi di tingin zeteleyo tombo beso jan panse sui tap beso latini ni jugo tamoso pa kaajati 시라칼리 jammu가 그 러시안 디자 타가로 팅지 엘레데레세데 칼리 jammu가 몽키 레레스 데데텔라니 베츠메 반지 파세데레 데데 가서 그 반영조지 팅지 일라그레스 데데 팅지 레토 제니 레토 다이 야포
Yeah, so here it says, for example, thus arises the 8th stage of the mind called making the mind single-pointed. At this juncture, if one makes continued efforts, one will not be interrupted by laxity or excitement and will be able to maintain the session for longer. This is the period of uninterrupted engagement. Then, having meditated steadily through the power of complete familiarity, the sixth power, it will not be necessary to make effort to apply mindfulness, for the mind will dwell on its object spontaneously. So yeah, so basically, just like, I don't know if you have experienced memorizing things, like memorizing texts. Usually when we start memorizing a text, it's so hard. In the first day, the beginning, it's so hard. You need to make so much effort, and then after some time, we can just bring to mind very easily. There's no effort at all. Just like, for example, we were reciting Om Mani Padme Hum. Also, the first time we hear this, we also need to think it's a little bit of effort to recite this. But then we can just, it just flows out of our mouth. So I think we can get to a similar stage with this process of concentrating the mind. I think it's a similar dynamics. Money.
다 가서 또 디니 셰바이나 지니가위티 있으라 차체 가르 종고레즈나 템바도 시진 지치로 아니 거치 가르고 고레즈나 리로 제동니 리로 니방아요레 니방아 님보드지 제고 다테 가서 녜만 로서레 이디 니방아 파포 님보드지 제야포감 디니 저도 가르레즈나 소소고 무파야포 지송노 토니 무파탈레 아니 제동 노톤 다마다 지나요 무파탈라 마치니 tapi yana ko mupata sen te dena dadi chini ndala mo denga kazane te shede shibakanga dadi chini kharo kati yana ko samo to de dena panzar ko tagaro romiro shi kolle de ora zo pa ka go to so pa ka dena yo ate te skali isara kati yana ko mupa ndela sen ya doto sele jema chini yoni yon te roje bija ina da kawazati na da yoni yon te dena pakazo ko shi shiba cho sara.
So basically, as we were saying, our two best friends are introspection and mindfulness. And then we have many bad friends in this journey. For example, laziness is one of our bad friends, forgetfulness, the laxity and excitement. We talked in the previous classes about the 5 faults, so these 5 bad friends. And then we have many antidotes also that we talked about, like faith, aspiration, effort, mindfulness, introspection, etc. And basically, also the process of improving our concentration is just like I was doing in the previous classes. I don't know if you remember. Like this is all the objects of our minds. Okay, so we're going to many directions usually. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring all of them to a single point, to make this one very strong. Okay, this is our object of meditation of choice. But as we progress in this, if we try to just cut all of this for, I'm not going to think about this once, it's very hard. So usually in the process of meditation, even though we have many thoughts going on, even though our mind is not so clean and is still going to many directions, the important thing is not to forget the object of meditation. Even if your mind is very agitated or anything, you just keep remembering the object of meditation. You just keep as much as possible coming back to what you want to make stronger. And then with time, it's going to start to become stronger, and naturally your mind is not going to be having all of these other thoughts. You don't need to try to forcibly throw them all away at once. You bring gradually all of them to a single point, like this.
Okay. Ni dan dinola jeni gata timato mido. Ta japan jina jeni gata ta jiram che ga labre chimut no sona jeni go sa su ja chimbre. Koro modolo mo bushi yure.
So here there is not so much about the practice of calm abiding in this text. In the text from Lama Tsongkhapa in the Lamrim, or the great stages of enlightenment, of the path to enlightenment, then it's much more elaborate, the practice of calm abiding.
Nino tema domando ni te tamsata ani labre chimo koro jaina muba koro lo mo na kamo sa yure. Ani jima ta jini yapo gamna ani labre na lo atli chetona yapo yure.
And then in the Lamrim it has so much about the object of meditation. How should our object of meditation be? All the choices, different types, etc. And then I think if your practice of calm abiding gets to a strong if you become good at this practice, then I think it's good for you to go there and read a little bit if you really want to start or progress even more in your practice.
Tani tangazo tise zonore, tani Tawanda yuna ngazo Tawatare che kono kashima tomi.
So our time is almost over. So if you have questions,
Do you have
preguntas, questions,
do you have a question?
A question.
You
Do you have a question?
Geshe was talking about the memorization, that it becomes automatic. And that is right, but also when it becomes automatic, it's kind of losing the mindfulness about it.
Okay, good.
Like I can repeat some things automatic and then like, oh, I'm finished, but what
Yeah,
happened?
so just
Like,
그런 것만 그런 질라서 내가 저 로진체도 아니 땅포백 무슨 치그레스는 치다 무슨 치고 말했을 때 내가 보용 그레스 내용도 보용나 아니 나영한테 동긴 심바 걸어서 동요 이양 시퍼레 이양 데라 보여래 그래서 그런 거 있어요.
나는 거 쓰나서.
그런 거 로진체네 아니 교나디 내가 보이나 아니 가 그런 게 세명 치료도 시퍼레 교긴 치료도 이래서 가싱가 몰랑 가싱가 진짜 뉴요 근데 저거 가면 교나 이렇게는 또는 요말에
동호여만 교대어라.
교대기래서 그냥 샘도 되게 말해서
제가 어때티 다기 딱 피테레스. 그라 칸이 교대어라. 콜로 성모 그랬던 것이야. 검사라. 디노제 딩인젤레 몸복 가서 성모 그랬던 거에 말 걸레 그래라 그랬어. 디다기 인디 자름시 피송아 테레스. 론제 제사네 그 리카 코론데 리카 체칸드나 근데 야들로 성모 동공가. 그런 맛이 레기도 어디노제 벌거지는 생대 오지 무발에 지금 베스 전에 지금 먹거든. 그런 같은 리카제바 가르리나 다기가 감자가 무바지라. 디마와네 그런 자 데데라 그랬어. 어디 용어에서 비티리.
Yeah, the example was exactly because of this reason, because when you have something memorized, like a prayer, it's not right to do this in this context, of course, but you can think about other things. You can just put your mouth to do the prayer, and then you're just thinking about something else. This means that you don't need any effort to do the prayer. It comes very automatic to you. So I was using this example to say that just like you can also your mouth can get used to this and everything, you can also get used to this concentration. It can become, in a similar way, your mind can just go, your mind don't need to think about this, you don't need to keep yourself very present, your mind can just go to the object of meditation and stay there.
야름 제가 비드 거기도 레니 sonda. 거가 단단한 시스. 아니 르르니 같은 로저는 리데시라 레니. 말했더니 상호도 먹는 데는 존나 가안전나 건 칸이 겨와도 맞이니 교토요라고. 이제 야름 지 커피로 자서셔.
여름시 카리카리 교나고.
야름 제가 비스마도 거가 니 칸이 겨와니 맞이니 로토라. 어디 노지지니 비드 송상도 알리.
됐어. 비드는 신기로 샤레들이.
말해. 내가 야름 제가 다는 가라선 도즈나 르르만 니 비자지 던도아이나 도보감리 몸보지 전인 되니. 지그르 칼리 잠고가 철론도 노론도 가던나고 나니 키와도 테마마제니 코르카디나 쿄토 소노도 마고니 쿄토아지 요르라라. 디코도 노제스다. 코에트디 쿄니 졸로도 로토르라라.
Yes. Yeah. So His Holiness, he used, actually it's in the book, this example. He used maybe you as an example, similar to you, because he said like this, yeah, if you memorize something, then you can go outside, this can come from your mouth and you can be thinking of something else. You need no effort to engage in this activity anymore.
but isn't it usually a bad thing? Like, for example, when I do my sadhana at night and I like just recite it, but I don't put any like meaning into it anymore.
아니 젬발에서 뭐 동나디 뒤잠을해. 네, 샘치로로 저런데 칸에 sama gögyo. 나 영이 샘 타린 거라 이래 뒤잠을해.
데디 그 데토와 티레션다. 그 칸이 젬반데 성우 젬바셔제더라. 디 기토 가서 펜네 칸이 가서들이 요레스. 칸이 어마니 베모 많이 본데데라. 이나 셈바노 반다 문다 간가테네 디노지. 기토도 피우도 요레디네 피우 전부터리가 말했어. 농그 셈도 칸이 내와니 찬양 거래. 디는 니바치여라. 가서 잘라지나 그러니까 차요나 야부여라. 잘라지나 차에 많이 게지나 야부여 말아. 디노지 농그 셈론도 Kanin dewa nika pena malo joy koso yung, wani toni malo joy koso lupa pena jaram chino malo joy koso, sen kani ani malo songa noje, sen kono takaro treto na nipa chia yore. Dewa ni kani ani jaram chan malo joy koso sen lo mana mendo se na nipa tse yomares.
Ngana sudi sumda tongmogona komshi tempo yona ni sumda tonggo yomare pe lela po yongire kala
Kala
ni kayomare bes. Kayomare bes.
Di kala to yodera. Kala yore di sen lo ko tre yomena nipa chumshita yomares. Gisa chumshita yomares. Yang really de besio. Kako mante baze atse.
Yes, this is something very bad to just do it with your mouth, and your mind is not following what you're doing. Just like when we recite Om Mani Padme Hum and we're thinking about other things. Yes, that is a bad habit. So yeah, we need to keep try to what you say with our mouth. Our mind also needs to get the habit of. Our mind also needs to be used. Yes.
But that's exactly my question. How do we find the balance between making it effortless without like getting lost?
Dine dinge todi dire change kranara chi tudimene ondi kantas chanyam chigre kansinanga chikchianga pezon chimugona kutsan pezon chimugona dine sem tani bola dogires kansa pezon chigomare smenanga tanga chutongna
Bezu jago mares.
아니 some chukolog에 some tangi 말했을 때 내가 양가 뭐는 겹나 넘겨나니 배전 침문거나 맞sama 겨투나 배전 침문거나 근데 직진항이 세면 다리보다 저기레스 쇼기레스 디 렐라포 용기레스 근데 그것도 전혀 제거레스 그래서 또 배전 this
Te mare ta kotina deres. Teni mare ta nani kolo pija jira. Te kar pija res na beso jomo go pa ngangi jowa tu pir. Pena tingi ze tomo gam kali jo na pasare beso jomo go pa tingi ze yo ngangi jiwa beso jomo. Tino je pena ngaso pija de na tomo kali jo jiku kali jomo ga ngangi jiwa do ase. Te ka pire ma to yo tini chan tewa to mantewa tini ke jamare da.
Yes, so here in the book it was just an example, just with this, something that before was hard, you needed a lot of effort, and then it becomes automatic, and then you don't need effort. You can like in this case, like you could think of other things, etc. But it doesn't mean that everything is the same between these two examples, or that one is right or wrong. It's just that something that was very hard, you need a lot of effort. You need to apply antidotes, you need to think about it. How am I going to do this? After some time, you don't need to think about it at all. It just comes to you automatically. You can just recite this. So in a similar way, only in this way, we make an example to the practice of concentration, that first you need effort, and then it comes natural to you. It becomes automatic. Yes, just in this regard.
Okay.
Okay.
Lanthe samara. Pachite samara.
어쨌든 다 이래.
Teni jago bi. Teni jeba kazo no le try la. Mani do.
Any question online? Questions from Brazil? No questions?
Mesra.
Pergunta? No? Yeah, dormindo.
Gido jata.
Good.
Tiro top jata. Trishia tsuma. Tringa so kare dina.
Ah,
Seni
that's
te tingi ze ge. Top tri.
So,
Ichi je. Tsuma dosa ta tri jini tsam. Ta sanyi mi ngaso shirong gonja ise. Ti portilo samte ji ngujin ro mobu chire. Ti zodo mogo chi. Ti shea le shira poto chi mare. Shea pe kapores ko. Chaka chi jonju she de gore. Ti ane tri tingi ze jini tsam ra. Ta sanyi handong shirong go. Handong zo shirong.
so today we were studying about the six powers. So the power of hearing, thinking, mindfulness, introspection, effort, and complete familiarity, and how they are applied during the 9 stages of setting the mind, right? The 9 stages that we studied before. So this was the main thing that we talked about, and we also talked about some other things about how to practice concentration. And if we go with the book, there are still some other things to say about concentration here in the book, but usually regarding the formless absorptions, the form absorptions which are related to the realms of gods, etc. And I don't think that's maybe a priority. It's very important for us to go through right now, because it can get very detailed and it's not so related maybe to our practice here of calm abiding. So I thought of making this the last class on concentration, on Komabari meditation, and from next class onwards, we're going to start with a training in wisdom. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Kiwa ganda yung Dalai Lama kondo me chigi pala no tu sato no ji yodero do ji chungbe kumbu no to shu. Nje senjo po ji ma ji ban ji ji ban yo. Pone kondo. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Obrigado. Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. Press